A little while ago, I made a video about an article I had read in the Santa Barbara Independent by a writer called Barry Maher. The article was called Meghan, Harry, and Barry. I did enjoy reading it. They had a great humor to it, but it also showed a scary side to misinformation. Now, I'm not a big creator, but I did reach out to Barry and he agreed to do an interview with me to talk about his surreal experience. Please do share and tag any creator who you think might be interested in hearing the story, and we can have a conversation about questioning sources and the credibility of insiders and experts. Hi, Barry, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm really well. First, thank you for finding time to chat with me about something I've been talking a lot about, which is misinformation and media bias. I've been basically relating it to the situation with Meghan and Harry, only because I've been following them and how the press has been vilifying them for so many years. But what your article did show was that the machinery of disinformation was incredible. So I'm going to give you the floor and basically tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience of first talking with that reporter and what happened next.
Okay. It was a completely different experience for me. I have been working with the press for maybe 25 years now. It built my business, it got me speaking engagements all over the world, all over the country and all over the world. It bought my house in Santa Barbara, press exposure. But that was talking about, yesterday, for example, I was in the Wall Street Journal talking about cruising because I travel a lot and I've spoken on a lot of cruises. I was talking about things I know. I was talking about communication, interpersonal relationships, leadership, that kind of thing. And it was basically factual, and I tried to be honest and accurate.
Of course.
And then something completely different happened. It was rumored is the correct term, because it turns out that when it comes to Harry and Meghan, there's no such thing as accuracy.
No.
It was rumored they were leaving the Santa Barbara area and moving to Malibu.
Okay.
And a British reporter wanted a quote on them. So I said, I don't know. I said, they live off by themselves. I live down the road in a considerably less expensive area, but
Okay.
not like nobody around here is living in.
I mean, how far are you? I'm not from that area.
As
I don't know it.
As the crow flies, not very far, a couple of miles.
Okay.
But with winding roads to get out there, it takes a little longer than that. As the helicopter flies, we're very close. Helicopters come flying over all the time to see Harry and Meghan's place. But we aren't buddy neighbors.
But you're aware that they're there.
They're there, I suppose.
Okay.
I can't see them.
Okay.
And I don't drive by their place because it's not on my way to anything.
Okay.
So I said, I live down the road. And I said, as far as local opinion on them, because we don't ever see them, I think it's pretty much the same as national opinion on them. Some people love them. He said, it's the fairy tale, the prince and the commoner. And some people love that and they love them. That's perfectly fine. Other people, well, they're not impressed by the soap opera, or they're sick of hearing about them. I thought, and I thought it was a pretty harmless statement. I thought it was just the kind of thing anybody might say, just saying, what people feel about them in the area. And that turned out not to be the case. It turned out greatly not to be the case. I really didn't even think it was going to get picked up by the reporter, because when I talk to a reporter, I want to be accurate, I want to be honest, but I want to be quotable.
But is this someone you met on the street? I mean, how did that conversation happen?
I don't remember. I was probably contacted. I get a lot of press calls.
Okay.
Because I'm in the various articles and various,
They know you're a local, so they know you're a local.
And this guy knew I was in Santa Barbara, in the Santa Barbara area. So I said, basically what I said, and then it came out in the papers. Yeah. And it was a whole different thing, because it wasn't the real papers, it was the tabloid papers.
Yeah.
And the first paper, the Mirror said, let me get the quote here. Let me read the quote, because I don't want to misquote the people that were misquoting me. They said, exclusive. I told them what anybody could have told them. This is an exclusive. Meghan and Harry close to selling a 11 million pound home, as neighbors are sick of them. Yeah. No, not neighbors are sick of hearing about them. Neighbors are sick of them. And the only neighbor mentioned, Barry Maher, me, nobody else. So I thought, well, that was pretty bad. I mean, it's a distinction between this and between being sick of them and being sick of hearing about them. It's a distinction between journalism and whatever this was, right?
Exactly. The language changes everything. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I used the word sick, but that's the only thing that it had in common.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's bad. That's probably the worst quote I've ever had. And I've been misquoted before, but nobody was ever seemed to be doing it deliberately.
Yeah,
But then what happened was the other tabloids around the world started commenting on the Mirror story,
of course.
and they all took it to their own extremes. I mean, News International wrote, speaking to the Mirror, PR and communication expert Barry Maher, who resides in the same area, revealed this is a revelation. This isn't just
No,
him talking. This is, I
it's
apparently had some
incredible.
kind of esoteric information that I
Yeah,
revealed here.
magic.
Revealed the Sussexes, I can't even say that, are never seen at their property.
Yeah.
Now, I've never seen their property. I never took the trouble to drive by it. I mean, they could be around here, as I said in the article, they could be cavorting with the Anastasia Romanoffs, the Lost Tribes of Israel, and Jojo, the dog-faced boy, and I couldn't see them from here, and I wouldn't care to.
Yeah.
Then it just got worse. It just kept going on. Here's a couple of bad ones. They turned my quote into, we are sick and tired of you. Neighbors asked
Oh my
Sussex to
God.
depart. Then it was forced to sell 11 million pound home over angry neighbors. That's me outside with a pitchfork and a torch.
And a
I mean,
placard,
it's
leave home.
absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, after seeing your name printed like that as a source, how did you feel?
Well, at first I didn't feel it was me. It was like I
Yeah,
read it again. Who are they talking about here? And that's honestly my reaction.
I
What
bet.
happens is when my name is printed any place, I get a Google alert,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
you
Yeah.
know,
Me
and
too.
yeah, usually, sometimes, you know. So I looked it up so I'm not in this article, you know. And then I saw I was in this article.
Oh my
In
God.
fact, I was the only neighbor quoted
Of
in
course.
most of them. Sometimes they quoted another neighbor, but none of us said the things that they said,
No,
you know, and
no.
especially not me. So what they were doing, they were taking my quote, they were taking the word sick, and they were just turning it into something sick, to be honest.
Did you get back in touch with that reporter?
He was supposed to get back in touch with me.
Yeah,
I haven't heard from him again.
I bet.
Yeah.
And
Well, if he heard about my piece, he wouldn't have been thrilled by it.
yeah, I mean,
But
you
that was,
in the article you mentioned that there was some obviously criticism over that, and you basically tried to give explanation. I mean, what was that like? Was that on Twitter? Was that? I mean, how was that?
it was ridiculous. I mean, I was getting excoriated in Twitter. I mean,
By
absolutely.
whom? What were they saying?
Well, they were saying things, get their names out of your mouth, you fraud, you
Oh,
phony, you public. Yeah.
yeah,
It was like, hey, I just answered a question.
yeah,
I
okay.
tried to be accurate. I tried to be honest.
And this was obviously
And
from the fans of Meghan Markle then.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was fans of Meghan Markle, which is fine. I don't mind, they're fans of
yeah,
Meghan Markle. And I don't blame them for being upset because the things I supposedly said I hadn't said.
yeah,
The problem was when I corrected it and I wrote that and I tried to correct it,
yeah.
it made it even worse. Well,
That's not
so
good.
it was, I mean, it really, that's why I wrote the piece I wrote, because I figured
Yes.
I have to explain what really happened here. And I was nice enough, or it was nice enough that people like yourself picked up on it and reported on it and made something of it. So it's
Well,
got
I
a bit of
think
exposure.
it's necessary because what I've also spoken about that you've got the fans of Meghan and Harry and you've got the fans of the royal family, and there are
Yes.
elements of both sides who are quite extreme. And
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's very important that we tell people, listen, you have to be really aware of what your words are saying to people you're attacking because you have no idea what's actually happening because people are just sharing anything they want to share for their own narrative at the end of the day. And
Right.
so when I saw the article that you wrote, I thought, brilliant. I mean, what kind of response have you had from the article?
Oh, the response from the article has been great. Then
From
virtually
whom? From whom now?
for again on Twitter
Okay.
and people I run into. People,
Okay.
it's like somebody yesterday accused me, "Are you really Barry Maher?" I said,
Oh,
somebody says, "Are you that Barry?" So it's been really great. It's been virtually all positive. One gentleman pointed out, I think it might have been in relation to your posting on Twitter.
okay.
He pointed out that you know basically his idea was that I should have been expecting this to happen. Now, I've been dealing with the press for 20, 25
Yeah.
years. I've never had anyone deliberately distort my words before. So I had no idea this kind of thing would happen.
I mean, Meghan and Harry left the UK in 2020, and basically the UK media, especially, just can't stop talking about them. And I actually think my personal reason is because I think they're making a lot of money from it because negative press sells. And so
Right.
obviously you were the fall guy here. You gave them a little bit of what they wanted and they just went with it. you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of what we talk about and what I talk about is basically based on the British media just totally distorting everything and just creating. I mean, there are so many so-called. I mean, you are now a royal source, aren't you? You're an
A
insider.
royal
You're an
expert.
expert. You're an expert.
On Pakistani TV, I am a renowned royal expert, not just your run-of-the-mill royal expert. I don't know anything about the royals. As I pointed out at the end of the article, I had to ask my wife, which one is William? I mean, I don't know anything about these people. I
Yeah,
don't really care. I mean, I wish them the best,
of
but I
course.
don't really care about them. It was just somebody asked me how people in Santa Barbara feel about them, and I said, this is what I think, you know?
It's just that there are so many so-called sources and insiders and experts constantly. I mean, every day there, I don't know how many articles come out about this couple who are not even living in the UK, but it's like they're constantly, as we say, living rent free in everyone's heads.
Yeah.
And a lot of information is coming from royal sources, insiders and experts. So we know what that really means now. It means nothing. These people don't know
This is one of them,
anything.
because I was called an insider in several articles. I don't know an insider. I live several miles away. You know, I've never seen either one of them. I wouldn't know them if I ran into them. I mean, that's the kind of insider I am.
Have you seen any? I mean, I'm not sure what the press is like where you are. Obviously, when it comes to Meghan and Harry, are they in the press a lot? Do you hear about them a lot?
I
Or
think they were initially, and
okay,
in the United States in general,
yeah,
yes, they are
okay,
a big, big deal. And
okay.
again, I think it's the royal thing, the prince and the commoner. You
But
know,
is it a positive press or a negative
generally
press?
here, I think it's positive. Now, there are a lot of
Okay,
people who I was surprised by how negative it seems to be in the UK.
yeah,
But here it seems to be generally positive. People like the fairy tale thing.
yeah, okay.
And
Have
although
you
I
have
think
you
it's,
okay?
go
Have you
ahead.
followed the jam saga? Have you heard about
No,
that?
I don't know anything about that. What's it? I
So,
am not a royal expert. Don't believe everything
well,
you read
no.
in the papers.
So Meghan decided to gift a batch. She made a batch of 50 strawberry jams, we think, and
Uh-huh.
she's gifted 50 because she's labeled everything, 2 out of 50 or whatever. And at the moment, 7 of those people who've received it have publicized it on social media. So this has
Mhm.
now become this whole, what is Meghan doing? Is she selling jam? Because she's got her own company, which is American Riviera Orchard, which at the moment there's nothing on sale. So everyone's,
Mhm.
speculating, is she going to be selling jam? What is she doing? And it's everywhere. It's absolutely crazy. And even the royal family, they have a store, and they've been selling jam for years.
Oh,
But
they have.
and their sales have gone up because I believe people are buying out of spite, because it seems that people do not want Meghan to be successful. That's my take. I'm not saying that's everyone's take, but it's weird. It's crazy what's happening here. But now it's like, Meghan's no one. She's this, she's that. But hey, she's just gifted jam. That's all. So
Yeah, so that's the
you didn't get
jam
any
thing. I'd
jam, did
seen
you?
reference to it. Now,
Oh, you
now I
had.
know. If somebody asked me, I can be an insider on the jam
Now
story
you
too.
know.
Yeah.
I will add your a link to your article so everyone can read it. But is there
Oh,
anything else
please,
you'd like
please
to
do.
add, and more about yourself that you'd like to add? Tell us about.
No, I'm just available for speeches all over the
Oh,
world.
fabulous.
I won't talk about Harry and Meghan unless you ask me to. But
Okay.
people can find me on my website, which is www.barrymar.com, which is BARRYMAHER.com.
Perfect. Now I'll link everything in everything that where I post it. But thank you so
Perfect.
much. I really appreciate you finding the time to talk to us about this. It's been great.
Well, it's my pleasure.